Time is money, and both are in short supply. You need to find a game that fits in with your schedule, whether you're a parent, shift worker, carer, or just plain busy. Well, today we just might have something you can slot into that busy schedule. Let's take a look at The Flame and the Flood. Welcome to QuickTime Gaming, the only show that reviews how well a game respects your time and what sort of time budget you'll need to make the most of it. The Flame and the Flood is a roguelike survival game developed by the Molasses Flood and originally releasing on Windows, Mac and Xbox One in 2016, with the PlayStation 4 and Switch versions coming the following year. Given the developers who make up the Molasses Flood, it should come as no surprise that The Flame in the Flood has a tight, simple to understand gameplay loop, an endearing art style, and a phenomenal soundtrack composed by Chuck Ragan. We don't have time to be interested in that, however, so let's look at how well The Flame and the Flood fits into the hustle and bustle of a busy life. The game starts off nice and quick. I think throughout my whole playtime there was only one real cutscene to speak of, and it is skippable for those of you who have no time for story. That said, this cutscene was less than a minute, and by the time I'd noticed the skip button, it was already done. From the moment you take control, you are on the tutorial island, which ends abruptly 2 minutes later, once you've collected the few resources available and read the signs. This is a survival game, and I think this much of a tutorial was quite frankly overdoing it. At this point, you're thrown headfirst in to learn the rest as you go. If you've played survival games before, then the situation here will be like catching up with an old friend. To those not familiar with the genre, the general state of affairs is to gather, craft, consume, kill, be killed, repeat, until either you conquer the game or it breaks your will to live. Your first half hour with The Flame and the Flood will probably see you die at least once, or twice in my case, as you get a feel for what you can gather, craft, safely consume and need to run away from. My first death was on the third island I'd come to, and a wild boar decided to make me its plaything. My second was because I'd not been lucky enough to get a jar at the start of the game or find a clean source of water. While it can feel frustrating to constantly find yourself back at the start in these first few loops, the benefit is that none of the time you spend during those loops is wasted. You are either pushing forward toward your goal or doing something vital to your survival. This elimination of dead time is what allows you to constantly feel like you're making progress, and every run you can push just a little bit further and survive a little bit longer. Once you've finally found your footing, each death will take longer and longer, until finally you may find yourself having to pause and step away, or even close the game down for a night before making it to the end. So let's see how easy it is to slip back into a session of The Flame and the Flood. One of the first things I'd like to mention is that I was pleasantly surprised by how generous the autosave system was in this game. Every time you dock, sleep, or leave an island, the game will save, and should you need to step away, you can resume from this point. Also, uncharacteristically for a lot of survival games out there, Flame and the Flood's campaign works with a checkpoint system, allowing you to restart from a previous area on death. Finally, there's an option turned on by default that allows whatever items your dog Aesop is carrying to persist through death. This is something I didn't discover until after completing my game and have spent the last 5 minutes kicking myself for. But the beauty of this system is whether or not the next run is made easier is purely left within your control. Give your food and water to Aesop, or leave his inventory blank full of junk, knowing that it will be with you in the next life. With all of these options, resuming a session of Flame in the Flood, whether it be after death or time away, is as simple as taking stock of your inventory and continuing on. If you keep your most useful items with Aesop, such as tools and long-lasting food, then you can even start the game again after death for a handy head start, should you have made some wrong choices or run into foul luck earlier in the game. Now, it is worth noting that this review is done on the lower of the two difficulties, Traveller, as I'm not a masochist. If you opt for the higher of the two difficulties, Survivalist, then you should know that the checkpoint system is gone. If you die, it's right back to the beginning. For those of you with a more generous time budget, or are simply looking for a bit more meat on your survival experience, The Flame in the Flood also comes with an endless mode. This game mode, as you might have guessed, has no predetermined end. It will strip out all plot-relevant locations, and the characters will have most of their dialogue removed, becoming traders instead. In this mode, your goal is to simply sail and survive for as long as you can. The Flame in the Flood is not just accommodating to small sessions of gaming, but the main campaign is also short enough that it shouldn't take you too long to get through, no matter how limited your sessions are. Research online shows that the average time to completion for the main story is roughly 9.5 hours, with my play session taking a little longer, but still coming in under the 12-hour mark. Now, before we get to the final section, I just want to take a moment to say that if you have any questions about what I've said, have a game you want me to review, or just want to chat, I do stream on Twitch every week. Due to the very same reasons that prompted this series in the first place, I will be streaming on either Monday or Friday, but if you click the link in the description below, you can find out exactly when my next stream is. Feel free to come and say hi. With that said, it's time to give the final verdict on The Flame in the Flood. The Flame in the Flood is easily one of the more time-friendly survival games I've seen. With a generous autosave feature, inbuilt mechanics that can make future runs easier or harder to your preference, and a story that can be completed in relative quickness, it's easy to say that this game is a great choice if you need something you can pick up and play without much time for sessions. Its lack of complex narrative means there's nothing to remember when you return to the game besides what's in my inventory, and the checkpoint system means death is never quite the do-over found in similar games of the genre. Once again, this is QuickTime Gaming, thank you for listening, and I'll see you when I next have time.